Hi Sagittarius, welcome to your March 2019 Tarology 33 reading. We have a Celtic Cross spread in front of us, which is normally a 10 card spread, but you guys got some extra cards in a few positions. And then we also have 2 Oracle cards to get through, and then a mudra card as well, so there's definitely quite a bit to look at. This looks like a pretty heavy finance theme for this month, but we'll see as we go along through the spread. In the main situation position, we have the 3 of Pentacles. So this is actually a card that represents the middle 10 degrees of Capricorn, but I also see it as a blend of Venus energy with Saturn as far as, it helps to beautify something that you're working on that would also be long-standing and stable. So for some of you, this could be, for example, maybe you're trying to do some renovations on your house. For some of you, you're just building, maybe working on a creative project. For some of you, this could even be a relationship as well, where you're just trying to get it on a more stable, firm footing. This could be like 2 people working together to, maybe you're picking out things for your house, right? Maybe you're moving into a house with each other, and now you're trying to pick things out for the place. There's a few different ways that it could go, but it's definitely a pretty stable energy and a pretty positive energy overall. We'll see how it plays out as we go along through the spread, though, as far as where in particular that's pointing to. And the challenger obstacle position, you guys got the Ace of Pentacles and the 3 of Wands. So these 2 cards in the challenge position and them being together as well tells me that this is what you're attempting to do. Like I said, build something stable, work on something, adding some stability to something. But it could be, especially with these cards, it could be tied to your finances or delayed in some way, shape, or form. So there's plenty of examples I could think of. Maybe you want to fix something in your house or make an improvement around your house, but you have to wait for your tax refund, right? That's one possible scenario. Some of you guys might have been government employees that are still, trying to catch up from the furlough situation that was going on in the States. There's a lot of different ways that I could see it playing out. But it looks like you guys definitely have the plan and the desire to build something, improve something, but it could just be that there's a holdup financially. And it looks like this is money that you're expecting to be due to you with this card here. This is often referred to as the waiting for your ships to come in energy. And this is actually the middle 10 degrees of Aries. So this might even point to the time when Mars was squaring Saturn, because they both were in those respective degrees in those signs. So back when Mars was moving through Aries, maybe that was when you had this plan in place, but you found out that there'd be delays. So maybe you're just still waiting for that to clear up. If that's the case, you guys are going to have Mars moving through your 6th house most of March, and Venus will be in your 3rd house as well, so maybe that'll bring some communication your way as far as what's going on with that situation. In the foundation position, we have the 7 of Pentacles. So to me, this also looks like something where you made progress on something up to a certain point and you feel like you're having difficulty going further. So that's why I'm really feeling like you had a plan put in place, you were ready to move on it, everything started up, but some kind of sudden delay seemed to pop up, and now you're just waiting on that to clear up. That's not always how I see this card, but with this overall context, that's definitely the vibe that I'm getting, that these are all tied together, saying that there's some kind of hold up with finances for you. Another way that this could play out, though, and the more traditional way that I usually refer to the 7 of Pentacles energy, is I view it as a card of comparing, what you have to someone else has. That's one way I see it. It's like the person looking at these 6 Pentacles and looking at their 1 and saying, well, I don't get it. Why does this person have 6 Pentacles? I've been putting in the same work, I only have 1. So that could be what this is pointing to as well. Possibly comparing yourself, maybe feeling like you're falling behind in some way. But you guys have Jupiter moving through your sign for most of the year, so that should definitely help out for you. Even though you have some heavy placements going on in your second house of finances, and it was going through some tougher aspects. Like I was mentioning, I think I mentioned to you guys in the last month's reading. You had Mars square Saturn, then it squared Pluto, so that could have definitely thrown some delays in finances for you guys. That certainly would make sense if that was the case. So maybe that's just pointing to these energies clearing up for you guys this month. In the past position, we have the Hangman. And this is usually my major arcana card for Pisces. So some of you could be dealing with the Pisces. There's going to be a lot of energy in Pisces for most of March. Obviously, the sun's going to be there. And then not only that, but Mercury retrograde is going to be taking place in Pisces as well. So even though this is in a past position, that could be what that's pointing to, saying that, when that Mercury retrograde energy hits, maybe that's when you'll really be reflecting and trying to figure out what your next move is going to be. And that's your fourth house too, so definitely that could point to something involving the home. So like I said, whether this is actually trying to improve your home, maybe even you guys have been putting offers in on a home and you've been waiting to hear back, did they accept your offer, yes or no, and you're like, I don't, what's going on, maybe you haven't heard back. And maybe, Mercury retrograde can bring miscommunications, but at the same time, if there's something you've been waiting to hear communication on the more positive side of Mercury retrograde, that could bring that news that you've been waiting to hear. So if there were delays in that regard, maybe that's what that card is pointing to. But this could just be saying that you were feeling held up in some way, shape, or form, which I said so far seems to be the general theme. There seems to have been a holdup. You thought something was in place, you thought you were ready to move towards something, building something, and there was some kind of delay. That's the vibe that I'm getting. But the good thing, if that's the case, is in the present position, we have the Chariot card. So, this definitely represents forward movement. For some people, this can represent buying a new vehicle. If that's the case, unless you really have to, given that Mercury will go retrograde in March, try to hold off on that if you can. It doesn't necessarily mean that the car would have issues, but there could just be issues with maybe you end up overpaying for it. That's one way it could play out, because maybe right after the retrograde's done, all of a sudden the car gets a reduced price. You might misunderstand some terms in the contracts. There's a few different ways it could play out. So if you're looking to get a car, try to wait until maybe even early to mid-April, if that's the case, unless you absolutely have to. It is in the upright, though, so it usually doesn't point to automobile difficulties when it's in the upright. But even that, just to be safe, maybe it'd be a good time to get your car checked up if you haven't for a while, especially if you guys live in the area with a rough winter. Maybe it'd be good to bring your car and have it looked at. But like I said, in the upright, that's usually not a negative thing involving the vehicle. For some of you, this could be traveling as well. And really, this could just be moving. Again, I'm getting that kind of theme that you guys are either renovating a house, maybe moving into a house. Like I said, if you guys, maybe you're taking a step with someone that you've been in a relationship with, and now you're moving in together for the first time. So you've, been trying to put in offers on places or looking for apartments, whatever the case may be. Maybe you just felt like you weren't getting much traction there. But this is definitely a good card to have in this position. This represents the sign of Cancer too. I can't remember if I mentioned that or not. So some of you could be dealing with a Cancer. And then not only that, Cancer represents your 8th house too. So this could again point to some money that might have been owed to you, but there was some kind of delays behind it. Whether it be a tax refund, maybe you were promised a loan, and maybe things went off the rails with that. So you weren't able to put an offer on a house or something like that, and now you get that money that you were expecting earlier. Definitely I'm getting a huge finance vibe this month. But it could be tied into relationships as well. Like I said, I do get that theme that maybe you're trying to work with something to build more stability. All right, and then in the near future position, we have the Ten of Cups. So this could definitely point to, again, relationships. Progressing in a positive way. So again, maybe it was just you've been, trying to time. Maybe you wanted to take things to the next level with a person, right? But maybe you've been waiting on it, or maybe you've been waiting for them. Maybe that's what the Seven of Pentacles would say in a relationship context. You know, you might feel like, all right, I've been with this person for years. Are they gonna, ask me to move in with them? Are they gonna, propose? Whatever the case may be. And then maybe you finally get that forward movement this month. Or maybe if you've been the one trying to time, all right, well, when do I want to, ask them to take things to the next level? Maybe you finally do it this month. And then again, this could just, this could also represent home and family energy to me as well. And like I said, you guys are going to have a lot going on in your fourth house. So that could be what this is pointing to as well. I think that new moon in Pisces, which is your fourth house, is going to be close to Neptune as well. So that could give you that, like, that dreamy quality to the new moon. So maybe that's what this is pointing to. But there definitely seems to be an optimistic vibe going as far as finances go and home and family connections as well. All right, and your influence in the situation, we have the Page of Pentacles. So to me, the way I describe this card in particular, what I notice about this card always is that it looks like the pentacle is right out of his reach, right? It's like it's almost in his hands, but not quite. So again, this is another card that points to me saying that it feels like there's some kind of delay for you guys with finances. Like, it was supposed to be in the bag for you, right? That's that Ace of Pentacles, where usually the Ace I don't necessarily see as a tangible proof of Pentacles. So, whatever the case, if we want to say finance, stability, whatever the case, but it's usually communicated. It's usually in the air, it's planned, and it's, maybe in writing, but you don't physically have your hands on it. So that could just have been the energy that you've been feeling with those delays. That's the primary thing I'm getting, but for some of you, this could be saying that you're making an offer to someone for stability. So again, maybe making an offer on a house, making an offer on a car, making an offer to take a relationship to the next step with someone, right? There's a few different ways that it could play out. But I'm really getting the feeling that there's some kind of money that was promised to you in some way, shape, or form, or you were pretty sure you would get it, and then there were just delays behind it. And if that's the case, the good thing about that is in the position of the environment's influence on the situation, we have the King of Pentacles and the Ace of Swords. So to me, this represents communication again about finances, and with the Ace of Swords there, and the upright as well, it should be positive communication. This actually represents the sign of Taurus as well, so it's certainly possible that there could be a Taurus in the picture that you're dealing with. Maybe they were someone you were supposed to partner up with in some way, shape, or form, and maybe they had backed out for a while, and now maybe they're coming back around, and you're getting the forward movement in that regard. This could also be pointing to the fact that there's a lot going on in Taurus as well, which is your sixth house, which could represent your daily routine, usually your work life, health even. But yeah, with that energy, you have Mars moving through there pretty much all of March, and then Uranus is going back into that sign as well. So that could really be finally what brings things forward. You might have felt like things were stuck, you weren't getting any traction, and then finally, okay, Uranus goes back in that sign with Mars. Both those energies might light up that sixth house for you, and you get some kind of forward movement. So maybe this was even, you've been working on a job for a long time, and maybe they discussed possibly giving you a raise or a promotion, and maybe that was the holdup, right? Maybe you thought it was in the bag, I'm definitely going to get this raise or this promotion. Then it seemed like there was a delay all of a sudden, and now finally this month you get that forward movement. Could definitely be the case with the Ace of Wands at the bottom of the deck as well. But yeah, that's really the vibe that I'm getting there. Whatever the case may be, whatever this holdup was, it looks like you're going to get some forward movement going for you this month, which is good. All right, in the hopes or fears position, we have the Knight of Pentacles and the Eight of Swords. So these two cards, again, another theme seems to be repeating here, where it's to me, I look at this as, okay, this is you wanting to move forward with something of a financial nature or just building stability in some area of life, but you're worried that you can't move forward on it, right? So again, with those energies coming into the month, like I said, it looked like there was the delays going there. It looks like you were feeling stuck, right? But if we see the forward movement, it looks like, yes, while that's a fear that you might have that you won't be able to move forward, it looks like that energy is definitely clearing up for you this month. So, you know, but I mean, there's clearly a lot of Pentacles energy in this spread. No fire except for right there, in the bottom of the deck. So this could just say you're focused on finance and stability in some way, shape, or form, without a doubt. It seems like a pretty unshakable vibe for me at this point. And with Mars moving through Taurus, it's going to be trining Saturn and Pluto in your second house of money too. So that could definitely also give you that boost that you were looking for, as opposed to when it was going through Aries, it was squaring those two planets. So that was more of a tense aspect. The trine is a smoother, more beneficial, harmonious connection. So might have been a bumpy ride for you guys for a bit, starting the year off, and now that energy might shift and you finally get the forward movement you're looking for. And the outcome position, yeah, a couple of rough cards, but I think I see what they're trying to communicate with this too. You guys got the Five of Pentacles. If I could get it to focus. All right, for some reason it won't focus, but you got the Five of Pentacles, the Ten of Swords, and then the Nine of Pentacles. So these three cards together, I'm kind of reading them as a story, saying again that I feel like this is just pointing to the way you were feeling, with those delays that we've already discussed quite a bit. So to me, that teamed up with the Ten of Swords to me represents that, your thoughts, your concerns about feeling this way are over come this month, and that's where the Nine of Pentacles energy comes in. Definitely a far more harmonious energy. And then if we put it back in the spread like this, we just see a straight line of that yellow background for all the cards, right? Almost representing like the sun shining, the sun coming out finally, as opposed to these being the dark energies. So, if we read this in chronological order, it's saying that, okay, with these holdups, this is how you were feeling. That Ten of Swords represents an ending to feeling that way, because now you finally get that traction that you were hoping for when it comes to finances. So that's the way that I'm reading it. I know these are definitely two pretty negative cards, but again, going from 5 with that Ten of Swords and then to a 9, either way, it looks like it's a positive progression of some kind. So, might not look that great on the surface, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's communicating if we look at the spread as a whole, especially with, again, that yellow background right there as well. So looks like, in the past there were maybe some tougher energies, and then you just get that forward progression. All right, and we'll read the oracle cards and see what they can add to the spread. First one you guys got was Round and Round. There's the artwork for it, and number 25. So we'll read that first. All right, it says essential meanings. The spiral quality of events when a lesson isn't quite integrated. Cycles you are challenged to break. Revisiting a pattern from a new perspective. The Oracle's message. The appearance of this card is a reminder that although it may appear that you've gone backward, the truth is that you are standing at a higher level, looking down into your circumstances. You will learn something, do something better, and break a cycle set up in the past. You actually have a bird's eye view of your initial footprints and can access the wisdom and lessons learned. So maybe that's what the holdup is saying too. Maybe this just feels like a repetitive cycle you've been in, and maybe that's what that 7 is. And then maybe this is saying you finally get that breakthrough now. That could be the case as far as you guys have had Uranus in your 5th house for a long time, which could be tied to creativity and whatnot. And, technically it's a harmonious aspect to make with the fire sign like yours, but, it made some harsh aspects here and there too. So, and usually when it leaves, it can leave you some positive lessons on the way out too. And now, it went into Taurus for a bit last year, but very briefly, then it retrograded back in Aries. Now it's going to stay in Taurus, so could just give you that boost in that area now. All right, the relationship message says, are you wondering, how did I get here again? Does something feel familiar right now in your dynamics with others? Maybe a little too familiar? Don't be surprised that you found yourself repeating an old story with the same sort of person who may not look similar, but who attracted you because of your easy acquaintance with his or her qualities. Your relationship is a mix of what is good and what is potentially challenging. You have been drawn to this person through the perfection of Spirit's plan for your evolution. You may have circled back to an accustomed spot, a familiar place, but that's fine, as you get to do things again, only differently this time, for you learned something of great value since the last time around. How will you choose to behave now that you're aware? Remain curious and stay out of the blame game. So, for very few of you, I really didn't get much of a relationship vibe at all, other than maybe you already being partnered up with someone and, you guys were collectively trying to work together towards something. But for some of you, that could be what it's pointing to. Like maybe that's what these two dynamics are here. Like maybe, if the page, you always attracted people that you felt like, they were quote unquote better than you, like maybe you didn't view yourself as being on the same level as them. And maybe that could have contributed to this 5 of Pentacles energy for some of you guys in the past. And now it's saying that 10 of Swords, you finally have an end to that. Now you're more in that 10 of Cups energy, because now you're seeing yourself more clearly and your value more clearly. And maybe that's what's also helping you build something with people now, because you feel like you're on their level as opposed to feeling like they're better than you, if you will. All right, then the prosperity message says, if you're in a scenario that appears to be an echo of something that's already happened in the past in your work life, it is because you're being invited to see what you couldn't see before. This is a perfect time for you to look at the deeper motives you have and your attraction to the opportunities and people who have entered your life to be part of your journey to prosperity. Who helps you navigate? Who sabotages you? Who supports you? What are the familiar signs and your responses to them when you find yourself in a repeat of a pattern of the past? It's a good time to get a coach or mentor who can help you see what you can't on your own. Repeat what works, not what doesn't. Then you will free yourself from the old cycles and cease going round and round. So, the one part that says it's a good time to get a coach or a mentor who can help you see what you can on your own, maybe that's what this represents, right? If you're, let's say if this is at the career level, you're more like at the page level, right? So you take on a mentor that's at the king level, if you will. So they're just at a higher level in the career, that path that you're on. And maybe you ask them, hey, could you help me with XYZ, right? And then maybe you feel more like the knight, right? Moving like they help you level up in some way with information they're able to share with you. So maybe that's what that's pointing to there. I didn't really get a huge vibe of that, but could certainly be the case. All right, now we'll look at the next oracle card you guys got. And this is from the Spirit Animal Oracle. You guys got Swan Spirit. It says, time for a deep dive. There is the artwork for it, and it's number 60. Okay, it says, with their graceful long necks, swans are able to reach into the depths. When Swan Spirit arrives, you are called to take a deep dive beyond what is easily available on the surface. You may think you know what is best for you now, but take the plunge into the depths of your awareness, for there is knowledge you are not aware of and great treasures to discover. Deeper understanding awaits you, and a perspective that comes from greater self-knowledge is what you need right now to better understand a situation or relationship. As you come to know yourself more intimately, so too will you come to better know others. So Swan Spirit asks you to go beyond the surface of what is happening between you and others and resist the temptation to judge by superficial appearances. Know there is much deeper potential for loving connections, forgiveness, and mutual understanding. Choose to dive deep into your why. Asking the deeper questions of yourself, you are led by the grace of Swan Spirit. So, the message there kind of reminds me of that hangman. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe there's just some kind of blockage, and you might go inward and look at things from a different perspective for a bit, especially with that energy in Pisces, that's a Pisces card, and then Mercury going retrograde in the sign of Pisces. That just might have you reviewing some things from the past, and maybe you have an epiphany moment, if you will, which is where the chariot comes into play. You get that forward movement, then just as you could see, things just progress in a positive way from there. So maybe that's what that is. These Oracle cards didn't seem to resonate really good for me with the actual main spread, but hopefully they resonated with you guys. Usually they're on point with the main spread, so maybe it's just separate messages for some of you where the main spread didn't resonate as much. And then lastly, take a look at the mudra card. For those of you guys who haven't seen the readings from the past couple of months, basically what I've been doing is pulling a mudra card for every sign. What a mudra is basically it's a gesture or pose that you make with your hands, usually while meditating. You can hold them for about 5 minutes, up to 45 minutes. If you're not someone used to meditating, that probably would feel like an eternity, but 5 minutes would be fine, at least to start. And, basically their purpose is to help clear up blockages, sometimes physical, mental, emotional. And the keyword for the one you guys got here is wisdom, and it's the Jnana mudra. And I'll just let the message focus here in case you guys wanted to take a screenshot of it or pause it and read what it has to say. Okay, and then I'll just move it up a bit so you can see the rest. Alright, as you can see, it says evokes the feelings of lightness, calms the mind and brightens the spirit, opens the chest and facilitates diaphragmatic breathing, reverses the outward flow of prana and directs energy back toward the body, increases the benefits of any asana. So, if this seems like something you guys think you could use, I'll also put the name of it in the description of the video in case you guys wanted to do a Google search for it or even see if there's videos about it on YouTube if you're interested. But aside from that, we'll wrap up there, guys, and I'll talk to you all next month. All right, bye.